Hey there, survivors! I'm your host, Douglas here at Drawboy Productions, bringing you another Screaming Ghostface Collectors video. In today's video, we don't have very many items to take a look at, only two. However, we have a very cool old vintage piece, and of course something that is brand new, just released. So, I guess without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right in. And I think we're going to go ahead and start with those pretty awesome vintage pieces. Here we have two incredibly rare, brand new, sealed in the package, Reptile weapons knives. Now, many of you Screaming Ghostface fans watching know exactly what this is, but for those of you who don't, I will explain. These were used during the opening of Scream 2 in that stab theater sequence. You can see many Ghostface patrons waving these around. They're glowing in that black light, the Stabovision glow. Recently, a Screaming Ghostface collector by the name of Chris, whose last name I can't quite remember, came across a massive lot of these. I think he found like 40 plus of them, all brand new, sealed for like $2.30 each at I think at like a thrift store or something. Absolutely insane. Of course, he bought every single one that they had and immediately took to the Screaming Ghostface collectors groups to start trying to sell them. I initially was trying to pick up more than I think like 5 to 7 of these is what I initially was trying to get, so that I would have some to use in giveaways, so that some of you could have a chance to get one of these for free in the future. Also just, I guess, for possible trades, whatever it may be. And unfortunately, he decided to go ahead and sell those other copies, but I was able to still get at least 2 from him, and they're both brand new, sealed in the package. I got 2 of these with the intention of opening up one and displaying it. However, I already have one open. The one that I have came out of one of the original style Reptile weapons packages, and they do have a few different packaging styles. They have one that's just the knife by itself with the ninja stars. Then they have another that I think is like 4 different weapons. It's a much larger pack. And then they have these. This is our first time ever seeing this packaging style, but it does seem to be official from the original manufacturer. And with how much easier it would be to ship these and get a large number of them on set, I'm willing to bet that this is exactly how production received these Reptile weapons. They then became Ghostface knives, but these fake bootleg Ninja Turtle knives. I'm willing to bet that they got them in packages just like this. There's no way to know for sure. There's no behind the scenes footage or images or anything that would give me any kind of indicator for sure that this is what they used, but judging between getting a whole large box of the ones that are all plastic and cardboard backed and ripping those apart versus just getting these and easily taking them out of the bag, I'm willing to bet that this is what they got. And for you lucky collectors who were able to pick up one of these off of Chris, you got them for a pretty fantastic price, because prior to the large number of these popping up when he found them, these were very sought after and were pretty expensive, I'm not gonna lie. For a cheap bootleg hollow plastic knife, quite pricey, but still, for the connection to Scream 2, I think they're pretty awesome. Obviously, that's why I had to get one prior. So while they're not official Screamer Ghostface merchandise pieces, they're still very rare, awesome vintage pieces with a definite connection to the history of at least Scream 2. Alright, moving right along, we have the second and final item in today's video, but it's definitely something that I have been anticipating for quite a while. Here we have, not one, but 2 of the new Cryptic Gauze Ghostface masks, or as they call them now, the Crypt creature. Many of you Screaming Ghostface fans already know the tale of the Cryptic Gauze mask, at least the original. It was one of the rarest and most unique Ghostface masks ever produced. Personally, they're still one of my favorite variants. I think they're very awesome, and they are still very sought after amongst collectors. Well, luckily, this year, Fun World decided to bring back the Cryptic Gauze, or at least a new variation of it, because this is far from what the original style was, but it's still very welcome in my opinion. My original copy is currently packed up, or else I would definitely do a side-by-side with the original and this one in this video. However, let's go ahead and talk about the features of this mask. As far as the actual mask itself, we have a classic EU style mask. The original did not feature a regular EU, but an EU T-stamp mask. It also said on the tag for the originals that they were glow in the dark. It did have the famous glow star. However, very well known, they didn't glow. This one says nothing about it glowing, and I'm willing to bet that it does not glow. It does seem to be that more opaque white vinyl. It's not like ultra white material vinyl, but still opaque white. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'll put it on screen now if it does, but at least from looking at it, I'm willing to bet it does not. As far as the scent on the mask, this does have the very same strong vanilla icing kind of smell that the newer EU stamp masks have, like the 25th anniversaries. And overall, pretty welcome. It's not incredibly intoxicating like some of the early 25th anniversary masks, but it's a decent smell. As far as the shroud itself, outside of, you know, a little bit of like gauze material, this is pretty much just a standard, regular EU stamped mask. And with that being said, I initially was going to tell people that if you want a regular modern EU, and you really wanted one for whatever reason, you could just take off the gauze material on the shrouds on these, and you would essentially just have a regular EU. However, at the time of recording, I have just found out that there's no need for that. Apparently, we are getting 2023 regular EU stamped and shrouded masks through Walgreens. I have yet to see this in person, but of course I will be doing a video trip there to try and see if this is legitimate, see if I can find some. But overall, as far as just being a regular EU mask, these are very nice. No blue dots, no stains. The paint itself looks to be pretty well applied. Really no issues with it in that way. So let's talk about what makes this a unique mask versus the regular EU. And what is the big draw here? The gauze material. This material is not the same as the original. In fact, it's not even close to the original fabric. However, I'm here to let you guys know that is not Funworld's fault. It's not that they just chose to not put the original style fabric on here. Apparently, it's been in very short supply, and they would need a lot of it to meet the demand of a large order of these masks. But this is something where this creepy fabric or cryptic gauze material isn't just missing from these masks. It's something that has been very hard to get a hold of. Really, it seems in general in the Halloween haunting world. They're just not producing as much of it. I haven't seen as much of it just packed up on the shelves, at least from the stores I visited, and I have heard that there seems to be a supply issue with that specific type of material. So I did want to mention that. I just wanted to let you guys know that this was not a style choice that was done by Funworld just because. It was simply due to the lack of materials on that other end. And I don't really hate this fabric. It is kind of see-through. It's very lightweight. It doesn't have the same characteristics as the original fabric, because the original one, it would kind of like roll up and wad up into these strands, whereas this you have like flat, ripped, or cut strips. So it doesn't really have the same appearance, but it still kind of has that same general mood to it. As for the tag, this has been the biggest downgrade versus the original. These tags are kind of just boring and bland, whereas the original tag for the Cryptic Gauze mask is one of the best in the entire Screaming Ghostface collecting hobby, in my opinion. But yeah, overall my thoughts on these are that they are very nice. While it's not quite the original Cryptic Gauze that we all loved and really wanted more of, these are still very cool. Another thing to note about the original Cryptic is that it had a very interesting, like, longer shroud, and it was kind of airbrushed gray and brown to kind of give it that distressed, aged look. And these are pretty much just black shrouds, so it doesn't have all that extra work put into it. But in my opinion, these are still great masks, just not as cool as the originals. However, for those of you who really wanted to have one of these styles or something really close to it in your collection, I think this is absolutely worth picking up. And you may pick those up sooner rather than later, because from what I could tell, these are pretty hard to get a hold of. They have been selling really well. I don't know if there will be a second run or not, but at least with me personally trying to make an order through Funworld, they told me that they were already sold out by the time I placed my order. Same with the Arctic Ghostface mask. So both of those styles are definitely in high demand this year. I don't know if they'll bring them back or not, so I would say definitely grab them while you can. And yeah, it is rather unfortunate that I wasn't able to get my large order. There is some positive to come out of this situation, like the fact that since I'm now trying to work as a retailer for Funworld, I can actually give you more information on what the shipping processes are like, what it's like for these retailers to actually try and receive product. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, from the short period of time that I've been in it, it's a lot more work and a bit more difficult than you may think. Heck, I found out basically after sacrificing many, many rare pieces out of the collection to come up with the money for the order, that you basically have to place the order in January at the Las Vegas trade show, or else you probably won't get anything, or you'll get very little of the product you genuinely want. I still could have gotten some stuff, but basically anything mask-wise that I wanted wasn't available. So in my opinion, I felt like it really wasn't necessary to go through with getting all those products this year. I'm going to go ahead and wait till January, and we'll try again next year. But it was very unfortunate because whenever I placed that order, I kind of took it as, I already have an Arctic Ghostface. I already have one of these Cryptic Gauze styles. And after I found out I wasn't going to be getting that order, it put me in a really tough spot, because then I had to go and try to acquire these on the secondhand market. And unfortunately, they are already going for 3-4 times the price of what they initially sold for. Luckily, I got these for only like twice the price of retail, and they were the cheapest ones on eBay. So best of luck for those of you who are looking for them. I hope you can find them. It seems like for the most part though, they're already sold out. And yeah, they are very cool masks. Unfortunately, not as awesome as the original Cryptic, but I really appreciate Funworld at least trying to give us one of those styles back. So yeah, with that being said, I think that pretty much does it for today's video. Of course, we will have more Screaming Ghostface stuff coming up in new videos, as well as many other product reviews. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I love you all. I hope you enjoy what I do with the rest of October, and see you next time.